What's good, all you SEC sports fans? I want to welcome you all to my sports page. I'm amateur to the YouTube channel, but I've actually been talking sports for quite some time, but I'm just new to YouTube. But either way, SEC football is 1 week away. All right, so you got some big games coming up this weekend. Obviously, the big one, Auburn against Washington. You got number 6 Washington versus number 9 Auburn. But somewhat of a tricky matchup, Alabama and Louisville. Like, some people think, hey, that's going to be a blowout, blah, blah, blah. But, hey, Bobby Petrino is really not a bad coach, and Louisville has had some success over the years. So I don't think the Alabama fan base should just write this thing off automatically as a victory. However, there's some other elements to this thing that are involved, too. Alabama has somewhat of a quarterback controversy, if you will. I don't think it should be, really. When you have a quarterback that's 25-2, and the only thing he has against him is, an epic collapse in the national championship. I know that is huge, but he's a guy that has been the proven leader who has gotten the results. Might not have been pretty all the time, nevertheless has gotten the results. Now, here's the situation with Alabama. I just really think that you should just go ahead for, at least if anything else, you really have nothing to lose. For perceptual purposes, I think Nick Saban should start Jalen Hurts. I'll tell you why. First of all, Louisville is a very manageable opponent. And let's just say he does go in there and he does, blow it. You can just easily slide Tua Tagovailoa in there. Just create a situation where, hey, Jalen, it's your job to lose, right? So you have a manageable opponent in Louisville to where if Jalen gets in there and really does make some mistakes, you can slide Tua Tagovailoa in. Number 2, I just think it looks bad for Nick Saban, having a 25-2 quarterback and to give it to a guy who basically came off the bench and just saved the day in the national championship. Now, mind you, I think Tua Tagovailoa, for every great thing he did in the national championship, he had one horrible follow-up to go with it, and that was pretty much the trend. He made a lot of catastrophic mistakes in the national championship game, but his accuracy was obviously better than Jalen Hurts. It kind of reminds me of 2014 when Nick Marshall of Auburn was suspended for that half, and Jeremy Johnson came in, and it appeared that, he was the better passer, he was the better quarterback, right? So Auburn fans were thinking, well, hell, why not start Jeremy Johnson over Nick Marshall? No, because Nick Marshall was the proven leader. Nick Marshall got Auburn to the national championship the year prior. That was Nick Marshall's team, right? And it turns out that there was a reason behind why Nick Marshall was chosen, because Nick Marshall had the skill set. He wasn't necessarily the best passer, but as far as being a great leader and a great manager of that particular team, that's why Nick Marshall was the starter, and it showed his ugly face in 2015 when Jeremy Johnson was heralded as the new coming of Cam Newton and on his way to be the third the fourth Heisman Trophy winner at Auburn. Not even close. Jeremy Johnson was an epic fail. Now, I don't think Tua Tagovailoa will be an epic fail. I think he will probably go down as one of the better quarterbacks in Alabama history. But I just don't think he will start the season off as the starter. Now, is that to say he won't end the season as a starter? I mean, who knows? Very likely, very, very plausible that he could be the starter at the end of the season. But to begin the season, I think Nick Saban should go with the safe, somewhat lazy pick in having Jalen Hurts as his quarterback to start the season off. I think, like I said before, you have a proven leader. You have someone who knows the rigors of SEC football, because it's a little different when you playing SEC football week in and week out, and all of the pressure that comes with being an SEC quarterback. Obviously, Jalen Hurts has grown accustomed to that. I think Tua Tagovailoa is well positioned to end the season as the starter. But I think, Nick, you just got to go with the 25-2 guy. I mean, it just makes sense. I think Tua can come in there and do a great job, but I think you put Jalen Hurts in a situation where it's basically his job to lose. You know, I think you do that. I think Jalen will play fairly well, but there will come a time in the season where Jalen Hurts will become Jalen Hurts again, and you may be forced to put Tua Tagovailoa in and let him finish the season out. But to begin the season, just go ahead and start Jalen Hurts. In the controversy, go ahead and get your game plan together for Louisville with Jalen Hurts as your starting quarterback, and just move on from there. Now, really excited about what Alabama will potentially do. I mean, of course, they always play incredible on defense. I mean, they have a stable of running backs. So look forward to Alabama winning big over Louisville. Something 2 or 3 touchdowns. And I think, you go back to the drawing board and continue to improve and get yourself in position for a potential college football playoff berth, SEC championship, all of those other things. If I were to pick this thing today, I would go ahead and say that Alabama would win the SEC West, and why not? I know that's a lazy pick, but why not? Alabama just has better football players than everybody else. Any game that they play, they're going to be the favorite. So I think Alabama will be, if all else fails, they will be undefeated, will be in the SEC championship, and probably will be playing again for the college football national playoff. So just look forward to that. And once again, like I said before, Tua Tagovailoa, incredible talent. If you really dissect it, had a decent second half in that Georgia game, but he did just as much to kick Alabama out of that game as he did to keep them in. You got to really look at the film. Look at the film and look at all of the mistakes that the defense had to bail him out of as well. And almost his epic fail in the overtime game where he was sacked, but turned around and became the hero after that. That's pretty much the story of how that second half went. Sacked for 17 yards, gained the yards back. 10 steps forward, 10 steps back, back and forth, back and forth. The thing was contingent on what mistake or what version of success was going to outrule the other. And that's not a real safe way to pick your quarterback. Once again, my name is Kennard Vernon Stewart for Vernon Speaks Sports. And you all have a good day. And Nick, go ahead and put Jalen Hurts as your starting quarterback.